who's actually going to get the most out of a full home solar inverter kit, and who would be better off sticking with a smaller, grid-tied solution. If you're trying to decide whether a 48-volt, 8 kilowatts pure sine wave inverter paired with two 100Ah LiFePO4 batteries is worth the investment for everyday living, you're probably weighing a lot of what-ifs right now. Will it keep my lights on during an outage? Can it handle my air conditioner? And will it actually save me money instead of just adding another expensive gadget to the garage? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started digging into this SUNGOLDPOWER 8 kilowatts kit, the thing that kept popping up in forums and review threads was the fear of overengineering. A lot of DIYers buy a big inverter and a stack of batteries, only to discover that their daily load never comes close to using that capacity, and then they sit on a $3,000 plus system that gathers dust. The opposite problem is buying a tiny inverter that trips the moment you turn on a dryer, leaving you frustrated in the middle of a storm. The sweet spot for this kit lands somewhere in the middle, but it's important to know exactly what kind of household you have before you click Add to Cart. Let's start with the kind of home that actually benefits from an 8 kilowatts inverter. If you have a medium-sized house, say 3 or 4 bedrooms, a central HVAC system, a few hydro appliances like a dishwasher and electric stove, and you care about staying powered during a grid outage, this is the sort of power envelope that can keep most of those things running at once. In my research, people with 35 kilowatts of daily consumption who also run a 23 kilowatts air conditioner in the summer found that a 48-volt, 8 kilowatts inverter gave them enough headroom to avoid constant load shedding. The two 100Ah LiFePO4 cells add up to a usable 10.24 kilowatt-hours of storage, which, according to the battery specs, can sustain a typical home for about 45 hours at a 2 kilowatts draw. That's enough time to finish cooking dinner, charge phones, keep a few lights on, and ride out the worst of a storm before the generator kicks in or the grid comes back. On the flip side, if you're a renter, live in an apartment, or your whole power plan revolves around a few LED lights and a laptop, the kit is overkill. A small 2 kilowatts inverter paired with a single 12V lead-acid battery would do the job for emergency backup, and you'd save a few $100s that could go toward a better solar panel array or a professional installation. The kit's 48-volt architecture also means you'll need a proper charge controller and wiring gauge that many casual DIYers overlook, which adds complexity and potential cost if you're not already comfortable with electrical work. Now, let's talk about the practical strengths that set this package apart from buying each component separately. First, the all-in-one design means the inverter, charge controller, and battery management system live in a single enclosure. That reduces the number of connections you have to make, which in turn lowers the chance of a loose terminal causing a fault during a storm. The smart protection features over voltage, under voltage, short circuit, and temperature monitoring are all built into the firmware, and the unit will automatically shut down if anything looks unsafe, then restart once conditions normalize. For someone who isn't an electrician, that peace of mind is huge. The time-slot charging/discharging function is another feature that actually matters in day-to-day use. You can program the system to draw power from the grid during off-peak hours, store it in the LiFePO4 banks, and then feed it back to the house during peak pricing periods. In states where net metering is available, that can translate to a modest reduction in your electricity bill, especially if you're already generating solar power from a rooftop array. The batteries themselves are grade A LiFePO4 cells, which are known for a longer cycle life, often quoted at 2,000,030,000 cycles, so you're looking at a decade or more of service before you'd consider replacement. That longevity is a real hidden value that you don't see on the spec sheet. But there are trade-offs you need to be aware of. The kit's 48V system means you can't just plug any off-the-shelf 12V battery into it. You have to stick with the two LiFePO4 modules that come in the box or buy exact replacements. If you ever need to expand capacity, you're locked into the same 48V architecture, which can make scaling more expensive than adding parallel strings to a 12V system. Also, the pure sine wave output is excellent for sensitive electronics, but the inverter's efficiency curve drops a bit when you're running very low loads, say under 200 W. In those cases, the idle draw of the inverter can eat a noticeable chunk of the stored energy, which means you'll get better overall efficiency by matching the inverter size more closely to your typical usage pattern. Installation is another area where reality bites. The kit comes with mounting brackets and wiring, but you still